My name is Tiffany Spraggins Payne. I'm your host of Zigzag, which highlights women entrepreneurs and industry leaders of the science, technology, transportation, engineering, and mathematic industries. We talk to these women about their business models and how they differ from their competitors. Today, my guest is Melissa Alam. She is the founder and CEO of Femme and Fortune, also the co-founder of AB Media Group, which is a female and minority-owned digital marketing firm. Melissa is a multi-passionate entrepreneur, digital marketing strategist, and photographer based out of Philadelphia. She works with creative entrepreneurs and bold brands under the AB Media Group to create, develop, and execute strategies that increase sales, gain more exposure, and inspire others to movement. Welcome, Melissa.
Hi, Tiffany. How's it going?
It's going pretty good, girl.
Yeah.
So happy to have you in here.
Thanks. Glad I made it.
Awesome.
Nice rain.
Yeah, me too. Like, rain, go away. Please come back another day. Right. But the sunshine is in here. Yeah. So, right before we jump into today's interview, I want you to talk about community building. What is your definition of community building, particularly in the digital space?
Yeah, to me, everything I've started and created is because of community. Either I've had community back me up and help me, or the goal of it is to create new communities for people. So, I host conferences every year called FearlessCon. It's a conference for women. And I created that because I didn't see a community of ambitious and modern urban women that I could relate to. So I wanted to create that and bring a bunch of other great women together. So community is everything, especially in Philadelphia. It takes a village to create a brand and to create a business. And I luckily have had some great friends and some great brand partners, and a lot of small businesses here in Philadelphia help me out. So I owe a lot to the community here in Philadelphia.
That's awesome. In the spirit of creating community, you also found a need in the marketplace where women didn't necessarily have a space to co-create and launch their businesses. Mm-hmm. And you created one of the first co-working spaces for women in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. Talk to us about that experience.
Yeah. So in 2014, I had The Hive, which was, again, I like to start businesses based off of things that I can't find a solution to, or there's a void that's missing that I want to create something to fill that void. So I was working out of co-working spaces that were very male dominated. And even down to the interior decor, it was just leather and just wood and just not very female friendly, I want to say. And I was just tired of hearing conversations about tits and asses all day by these dudes, I'm here to work, and I'm tired of hearing you guys just talk about superficial things about women. And so I just, had the opportunity to get this awesome office space in Old City. And it was kind of the light bulb moment. And I, broke my lease. I moved home right away to save up for 2 months. And then I launched, after 2 months. And it was a space for women to come and work during the day. And then we would have programming that was open to the public and co-ed. So we'd have workshops on social media and strategy and cooking classes and all this stuff, open mic night even. So it was, a really fun creative space. It was kind of like my treehouse.
Yes.
It was 2 floors. I loved it. And then I closed that in 2016. My lease was up and WeWork was coming. So I was like, let me get the hell out of here. I closed the business because the business model wasn't as strong, and I was putting in a lot of effort. It was very stressful to pay for everything. I didn't have any funding. I was using my, client work that I was working on day in and day out to 2, 3, 4, 5 a.m. to pay for the space and to pay for my apartment. And it became too much. So I, just closed that business and moved on.
Yeah, and you also launched this incredible conference, FearlessCon. Mm-hmm. Just recently, during the Philly Tech Week, you had this amazing event called Study Hall. and you had like a after party called the Recess.
Yeah, Recess. Yeah.
And talk to us about that.
Yeah. So study hall was, so a lot of the things that I do are very focused on women. And so I wanted to create something that didn't pigeonhole myself, because I have a lot of great guy friends that are creative and that are killing it that I want to incorporate. So
Yes.
study hall was my, like way to create a really fun space that's co-ed. And the audience demographic for study hall is very much like the gritty, scrappy freelancer, artist, entrepreneur here in Philadelphia.
Yes.
Looking for community. Whereas FearlessCon is kind of like the more refined, some of us are refined, I'd say, but the, female business owner or
Yes.
the woman who's working 9 to 5 who wants to start a side hustle or go into entrepreneurship. So I'm kind of segmenting my businesses through audiences. So yeah, study hall was awesome. It was, we started off with a pizza party, and it was my ode to the 90s. So we were playing 90s music all day. We had the fruit roll-ups and Capri Suns and all these snacks. I got coloring books for people in between, so they're coloring. And then we had some great content. So we had panels and lightning talks by some people that I know and some good friends. And we talked everything about Facebook ads, strategy, to starting a business with a partner and do's and don'ts, to selling your product and service to the masses, and marketing strategies around that. So yeah, I tried to create some, great content, brought in some awesome speakers. We had some great brand partners that were involved as well. So yeah, it was a really fun day. And I've had some interest to host some in New York and LA as well. So now is kind of my time to, clone myself a few more times and launch more of these events when I find the time to do so.
I think that's awesome. We were talking before the interview about how I actually have become one of your adopters, right? I have subscribed to one of your multi-platforms and actually participated in your branding and collaborations webinar. I mean, wow, right? I mean, you really understand how to bring communities together, particularly during the digital divide, right? And so talk to us about what was the impetus for this webinar?
Yeah. I get a lot of questions about creating community and collaborations. And so I love just education and continuously learning. I watch a lot of webinars, and I'm always on Pinterest trying to just soak in all the knowledge and reading from other people's blogs and whatnot. So yeah, my goal is to, teach more workshops. I do that through another one of my brands called the Hustle House, which is actually my apartment that I've made into just a complete work and inspiration area. So I host workshops out of there. But yeah, I love hosting these webinars. And also I've done an online conference, digital conference, where I've had speakers in Spain, LA, New York, teach hour workshops that you can subscribe to. So yeah, I think, you can learn anything off the internet, and you can reach so many people off the internet. I've made so many great, really amazing friends. I've dated people that I've met off of Instagram. It's just there's so many things that you can gain from, the power of social media and the power of the World Wide Web. So, why not utilize that to your benefit, and why not use that to make money? So that is how kind of everything has stemmed from that idea.
That's great. Talk about work-life integration, right? Having the Hustle House in your apartment, dating folks off Instagram that are creatives, and still getting paid. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I want you to talk about growing up in the .com era and now being where we are here in 2018. What would you say is your unique value proposition? When everybody else is zigging, how are you zagging? How are you going against the grain of the status quo and making your mark?
Yeah, I'd say by trying to do it all really well in a way. So, a lot of times people have specialties, or they have a niche focus, which is great. And I like to cross that divide by being great at a lot of things and providing that for my clients. So, where some people are just developers or some are just designers, I can do both. I can also take photographs for your website, and I can also write the copy. So a lot of my work I do for clients is website design. So either redesigning websites to make them look better, or helping entrepreneurs or small businesses create a brand that resonates with their audience from scratch. So trying to do it all from, picking out the colors that they should use to the types of, words and call to actions that they should use. So trying to kind of providing a one-stop experience is probably how I zag. So
That's great. Being a Jill of all trades and the master of all that you are, talk to us about how you've been able to build or assemble a team.
I mean, that is something I am working on, like, really, really strongly right now. So I just hired like my first junior strategist, part-time, which is a big thing because, a good problem to have is a lot of clients knocking on my doors, and I, realized that it takes a toll on like you as a person, and your work-life balance and just sanity.
Yes.
And I'm usually working with like 8 to 10 clients at the same time. So now this is the year that I can finally invest into other people.
Yes.
I think, having your own business is hard, especially when you have like student loans to pay off,
Yes.
credit card debt that you made as a 22-year-old and messed up, your credit score and everything. So you have that debt, you have taxes, you have all this pressure. And then you also have to survive and live in the city because the alternative is living at home in the suburbs with your parents. And that's not the alternative that I want. So I was finally able to this year pay off a lot of stuff, thankfully.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it took a lot of
grit.
A lot of great clients believing in me,
Yes.
and also me being able to charge what I think my value is now. So, when I started making websites 6 years ago, I was charging $200 just so I can like get that experience, and now I'm charging like 10 times more than that. So it's just kind of building, and knowing your worth and value when it comes to working with clients. But yeah, now is the time that I am just investing. I am trying to find, key players that I can train and delegate to, and learning my strengths and weaknesses and how I work as a boss.
Yes.
I still feel weird being like, oh yeah, to a client, I have a staff member that can come and take your photos. Like it feels weird because I used to be me, but I can't be everywhere, anywhere, like all the time.
Yes.
And it feels so great to finally pay someone to do things that I don't have to do anymore. And it's getting done on time now. It's so I'm all about growing a team now. And I have 2 more women that I want to bring on as account managers as well. So yeah, it's like a slow growth and it's taken a while, but I'm ready to grow that team.
That's awesome. In one of my other Zigzag interviews, I was talking with another guest who was talking about how people pay for success. They pay a premium on making sure that their brand and the end product is like of absolute quality, right? And so, and you talking about, understanding your value, and I hear you talking about how you understand your value from a profit or revenue generation perspective. Talk to our audience about how you understand your value as a human being, as a young woman who's doing her thing.
When it comes to knowing your value, it's something that I've had to learn just throughout my career. Early on when I was like probably 23, 24, I was contracted as the social media director for this huge wedding and event planning company, venue company here in Philadelphia. And it was like one of those moments where I'd be in the meetings with all of these the directors and the CEO of the company and the PR director and stuff. And I was the youngest one there, only person of color as well. And the CEO would stop and be like, Melissa, what do you think about this? And I was like, yes, this is the type of respect and this is the type of feeling I want. So let me figure out how I can continue this feeling I have.
Yes.
And that was amazing. And even now, I'm sitting in meetings with guys, and older men, and they try to mansplain or undercut my value, and I'm not budging anymore. I've had clients that have just not been the best because they don't know who I am personally, and they I think assume that I'm some college intern or some and I'm not. I've been in the business for 6+ years, so it's something where I have to stand up not only for myself but for other women who are going to be in my position, so that they can learn that you don't have to take BS from clients or undercut your value or undercut your prices or rates because some client or somebody thinks that you deserve less. So I'm kind of doing this for everyone to learn from as well. But yeah, I'm sticking strong and charging more is pretty much.
That's great. You can't knock that, right?
Yeah.
So, it's so interesting. We're at a phase in the dialogue where you had me thinking about, wow, if I was 14 years old and I was interested in launching a business, what advice would I want to gain from you, Melissa? Like what? So, thinking about the teenagers, the youth, like those who are coming behind us, right? Because we're millennials. But for those who are coming behind us, what advice would you give to a young lady who's perhaps in, the early stages of her high school career, if she wants to pursue tech or something in the digital media space?
Yeah. So my first piece of advice is to just do it, like just launch. Because if you don't launch, you're never going to know what works, what doesn't work. No one's ever going to know about, your passions or your ideas or your company if you don't launch and just try it out. Worst case scenario, you figure out that you need to switch some things up and then you relaunch. Best case scenario, you fly and you grow a team and, things start to pick up and you learn about your strengths and weaknesses. So always, always, always just do it. Just launch. Stop. Lose that fear of it's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect. There's never going to be a perfect time. Just do it. And then my second piece of advice, because I am a branding geek, is to brand it well. Yes. So you can launch a company and create your logo on like Microsoft Word clip art, or you can invest and learn, on Photoshop and get like the free 30-day trial, create your logo there, or Illustrator, or even Canva. There's so many resources.
Yes.
But invest in teaching yourself the tools of the trade and also branding your business well, because a great brand resonates and it's going to be memorable and it's going to stand out versus a brand that you are equally as passionate about that doesn't look so good. People might skip over it. I thinking about like consumer behavior. We shop and buy things based off what they look like. And nowadays, a lot of brands are going more minimal and more simplistic in their design. Yes. So kind of like check out the trends, look at the brands that you admire, the companies and designs that you are drawn towards. What magazines do you love reading? Like I love picking out headlines from magazine articles and using them for like, I used to name nail polish colors for a client. So using those like headlines as nail polish colors or whatever, or like an event name. So kind of picking inspiration from wherever you go, but being true to yourself and branding things the way you would be attracted to them as well.
That's dope. I want you to talk to our listeners about how you've been able to, talk about minimum value product, right? Mm-hmm. So knowing that you came from Temple, knowing that you came from a place of being scrappy and understanding how to start a business. I mean, you started your business with no debt, essentially, right?
Student loans and, the usual.
Yeah.
But nothing too outrageous, yeah.
So, for someone who's interested in launching a business, but really, whether it's crowdfunding, whether it's fundraising, what might be some other tools or strategies to actually fund the business that you can recommend?
Yeah, my best tool is to stay up and learn from Google. Like, I have been able to grow my stuff because I've sat there and studied design and I've practiced on my own. Like I am my own guinea pig before I launch something or before I provide it to a client. So if I wanted to make a video, I made it from my trip that I, traveled to and learned how to put together the clips, and then I can offer that to a client. Like, so the reason I, am where I am, I'd say is because I've just learned how to do everything. If I have a new business idea, I'll make the website and bam, I saved $8,000. I saved money there. Or I've taught myself photography so I can save money when I don't need to hire a photographer every time. And I've seen so many times, and I've also worked with people where they've been putting down thousands and thousands of dollars on a brand and they still fail because they're not teaching themselves how, like the key or the core ideas of business that they need to teach. They keep just paying people to do it and then it just collapses. Or they're investing so much money in like branding and like a website, but that doesn't necessarily mean success, Yes. So the best tool and the best way to save money is to teach yourself how to do it. I love using Squarespace now for clients. It's only like $120 a year, beautiful templates, and you can create like a presence in a day if you wanted to. And so, or you could hire me or you could, but there's so many tools out there where you can just learn Social media wise, you can, create great graphics off of like Canva or Photoshop, like I said. And yeah, I just tell all my clients, like, stop hiring for every position. You need to know how to run your own social media. You need to know, in case something happens, how to make this graphic. You are the brand, and you are the person that's running the show. Like, if you don't know any of this, it's just all going to fall apart eventually. So yeah, being an advocate for teaching yourself and Googling everything and staying up and putting in the work is very important. Because then when you do hire someone eventually, like now I'm hiring someone, I can give feedback on like, okay, I want the photography to look like this, or negotiating rates or whatnot, because I know exactly, because I've been there, versus, oh, here's like a bunch of money and I don't like the end product. Well, it's because you didn't give them direction, because you didn't know what you wanted in the first place. So yeah, just learn everything, because then you can, do it all and save a bunch of money. Yes. And then also you can charge people for what you learn, like I've done. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So young ladies, for those of you who are tuning in, the key is the mastery of your craft and your skill set. Don't worry about the money. The money will come. But the key is investing in yourself and truly understanding your value from the perspective of mastering your skill set and growing your brand. Yes? Mm-hmm. And so, Melissa...
Preach. I loved it.
Yes. Can we get some snaps? Woo! Yeah, I'm just vibing off of you, So let's delve into FearlessCon. I mean, one of my favorite conferences. Haven't been there yet.
This year, though.
But this year, I will certainly be there.
I'm sending you a ticket.
Listen, I accept already. I'm coming. Whatever I got to do, I will pay. Whatever I need to do. But for those who have not experienced it, I've seen it. I've been there on the peripheral. Mm-hmm. Even had some friends who've attended, participated as speakers and such. Mm-hmm. So talk to us about how you've built this conference and like who is the ideal client or participant for this?
Yeah, so I love, again, investing in yourself is so important. So I, throughout this, career of mine, have been going to conferences all over the country, especially like women's conferences.
Yes.
And I've always gotten a return. I went to a conference last week, actually, in Florida, and I got a client out of it that paid for my trip there. Wow. So there's always like a return. I've made new friends. I've been, it's been great. So there's nothing here in Philadelphia like I want, or that I see that I'm attending in like Chicago, LA, New York. So that's kind of what I like about Philadelphia, is that you can create here, because everyone keeps skipping over us, and that's fine. But that's just opportunity for us to create our own like magic and whatnot. So FearlessCon actually started. It was in 2015, and it started as like, how can I create something bigger, and to bring together women. And also I like pushing myself to my limit. Like, how can I just completely stress out for a few months, have a few mental breakdowns, and produce a great event,
Absolutely.
So that was one part of it. I was like, a conference. I initially wanted it to be a week-long thing, like Philly Tech Week. I was inspired by that.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, that's overly ambitious. Let me just do a one-day event. So I did a conference. And it was also a fundraiser for me to pay rent for the Hive. Because I was like, I need like a bigger idea, because rent's due. Let me do a conference. So
love it.
So yeah, and it's every year it changes. I've changed the logo. I'm rebranding this year. I'm really excited about this year's rebrand as well. And also I've hired a friend to do that. So I'm not doing it at all either, because creativity wise, I'm tapped out. I'm providing it all for my clients. I'm tapped out of my own brands and stuff. So yeah, FearlessCon is a now 2-day experience and event, and it's for women who get shit done. It's for women who, aren't afraid of saying no, aren't afraid of, sharing their experiences and their successes and failures to everyone else.
Yes.
I go to a lot of conferences, and they're really geared towards something that's unattainable. They're geared towards, being a fashion blogger. But not all of us can have that lifestyle and have like the perfect Instagram feed. Yes. And the husband who also has amazing photography equipment and who can take photographs of us like at all points of the day. Like a lot of us don't have that life,
Yes.
A lot of us are just setting up our own tripod, taking our own photo and editing it ourselves and doing what we can. And that's the type of woman that I want attending, is the one that's like has that grit and that scrappiness to her, but is also like looking to improve herself, to increase her rates, to get more clients, and also to learn about the, modern day woman and what we're dealing with. So last year was the first year, last year was the third year hosting. And I actually only made it women only speakers. Before, I've had male and female speakers because I do believe that we should all learn from one another and how men react to situation as well as women. Yes. But last year, it was just so relevant, especially with the political climate, just to have women only. So we had topics on being, like my favorite one was a panel on being a daughter of an immigrant, because I am a daughter of an immigrant. So I had Sophia Ballin was the moderator. She's Jamaican. I had my friend Fatou, who is also my co-founder of AB Media Group. She's from Guinea in West Africa. We had a Pakistani woman, a reporter from Baltimore. And then we had another Tiffany. She is Dominican. So just an amazing, charismatic, diverse crew of women talking about their struggles. And I learned so much from these women who are my friends that I had no idea about. And there was not a dry eye in the audience. And then our keynote was Yasmin of Roar for Good.
Yes. And
she talked about her journey being a refugee and working under the table and growing these companies. And it was such a great way to end the conference. And yeah, FearlessCon's great. And it's something that builds up every year, and I get excited about. It's a lot of work, but it's so worth it just to see everyone come together. And it's also probably the most diverse. I mean, if I weren't hosting it, I'd definitely attend. So that's a sign. But shameless plug.
Yes.
But it's one of the most diverse and multicultural conferences because I go to a lot of them and I'm the only brown girl sitting there. And a lot of conferences are either, directed at one ethnicity or race as well. Like this one, I want everyone to come in. And I actually specifically look for speakers that are diverse. And keynotes, I will only have women of color as keynotes. So because we need a platform.
Yes.
There's so many other avenues and conferences where, women have the opportunity to speak, but, someone like me might not have the opportunity to speak. So yeah, that's kind of I'm kind of strict about that. And it's really, I love hosting this conference because it's like putting together an orchestra and curating, women that I've look up to that I know, but also women that I admire from Instagram. And I bookmark their images. I'm going to reach out to them. I have a little bookmark folder, a collection on Instagram of speakers that I want to ask to speak. And yeah, so I'm always on the lookout for the best, sponsors and also the best speakers that would make this conference better. And this year I got an email from a woman I think she's a student, but she's like, can you have a panel on how women can get into politics and run for office?
Wow.
And I was like, heck yeah. This is exactly, I was like, thank you for emailing me that done. So now I'm reaching out to women in politics. I need you on a panel. Wow. So it's, and that's where the collaboration comes from. I'm not always thinking of everything. People are giving me ideas and they're like, oh, can I host this workshop? So yeah, FearlessCon's going to be great. First day is going to be workshops on business strategy and marketing and tools to run your brand. And then the second day will be inspiration on panels and keynote speakers.
So ladies, FearlessCon is going to be the place to be. So
yeah,
you heard it first from Miss Melissa Alum.
Yeah.
So listen, I love that you are totally embracing your seat at the table and giving way for so many other women of color to walk through the door, sit at the table alongside of you, and create the menu. So in doing that, I would love for you to talk about what the impetus was for AB Media Group.
Yeah. So AB Media Group was founded, I think, in my room a few months ago.
So you got the hustle in our apartment, you got the room.
Yeah,
awesome.
So it was in the hustle house. And so I met Fatou Berry, who is just this dynamic, love her to death. She's like my sister. Through Instagram, actually. She runs a platform called PR Girl Manifesto, and it had 10K followers at the time. And I found somehow that she was the founder. So I started following her and we just started kind of interacting through stories and whatnot. I invited her to speak on I had a digital conference for FearlessCon last spring.
Yes.
So she did a workshop, 1 hour workshop on PR, and we just kept connecting and stuff. And then we finally met in person in the summer. I went up to Brooklyn for one of her events. And I invited her to speak at FearlessCon last year, and we just connected. I think what really brought us together was realizing we're both Muslim as well. So last June when I started fasting after 10 years for the first time and got back to kind of my culture and religion and whatnot. She was online at the same time as me at 2, 3, 4, 5 a.m.
Wow.
grinding away. And I'd be like, oh my God, we're the same person working on client work. And so we'd send each other, what do you think of this design? What do you think of that? And we literally do the same thing. We make websites for clients, we do logos, and we do brand. doing the same thing, sitting alone in our rooms in 2 different cities.
Wow.
So we were just like, and honestly, I don't trust anyone with my tech other than her. Like, I had problems at FearlessCon with like our photo booth going down. She fixed it. Like and then when I was busy getting, running around for the conference, she was up there working on my PowerPoint. Like, trust her to a T. She picks up where I pick up, like leave. And it's just such a great partnership and something I've been looking for so long. And so, yeah, we're like, we might as well just, in order for us to scale, instead of doing this like one-off projects by ourselves, let's create something. And our inspiration for AB Media Group was those old law firm madmen, you know, Schuster and Schuster, like, you know, like whatever the names are, you know, Rothman and whatever, like all these like men's names on these brass windows and decals or whatnot.
Like old boys club.
Old boys club,
you're taking it over.
So AB, we're like Alum Berry Media Group. Let's do it after our name so we can have that enshrined somewhere in the future. And so, yeah, we created this kind of on one night because that's what we do, is like make websites and put things together. And she was working on one part of the website and I was working on the other, and we just did it and went to bed at like 5 a.m. and launched it. But we focus on like female and minority owned brands as well. Yes. So our clientele has been very diverse. It's been awesome. We're doing social media management for clients. We're doing website design, event management, PR, you name it, we're doing it. And we're also providing a grant for $500 for a local creative to invest in their own kind of projects and business. So we still have to announce those winners, but we have 2 in mind. And again, we're so busy with everything, but this is something that we want to continuously do, is to provide this grant. And I've even had like an outside donor come in, provide another $500 for the grant. So now we have 2 grants to give away.
Wow.
So it's just us trying to give back to the community and back to the creative hustler who's, you know, needs business cards or needs money for new photos or a website. We want to provide that because we're in a place where we can now.
So as a contributor to the creative economy, Melissa, what might success look like to you?
Success to me is like always being creative, finding inspiration in the little things. Like I'll go to the bottle bar, which is, you know, there's fridges full of beer, and I find inspiration from the branding of the beer cans and stuff. So finding inspiration at all points of time. And success to me is also being able to travel. That's very important to me. I try and go somewhere every month. Next week I'm going to Charleston for 2 days because I'm all about a cheap ticket. So I got like a $50 round trip ticket.
Where are you getting these tickets?
Frontier, you know. Frontier Airways or flights. So yeah, I love traveling, and I get inspiration and energy from traveling. So yeah, that's what success looks like to me. And continuously providing like awesome, dope events like FearlessCon and Study Hall, working with amazing clients that trust our creativity and trust the process, and just having a lot of fun. I'm really just all about chilling out with my friends, eating tacos from the taco truck, watching movies on my projector, watching YouTube and chilling. So we do. But having fun and making time for friends and family too.
Melissa, I have had a ball.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome. You're so dope. So listen, this is not the last we've heard of you, right? I'm going to be at FearlessCon.
Yep.
And, you know, amongst other things, I'm going to be chiming in and giving you shout outs. But for those who are interested in getting to know you up close and personal, and of course, purchasing a ticket to FearlessCon, how can they reach you?
You can find me all over the internet because that's just what I do at melissaalam.com or Ring the Alam, ALAM is my handle. And then FearlessCon will be September 29th and 30th this year, and that's at fearlesscon.com. And I'm redoing the website, so just don't check it out yet. But
especially around 2 and 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be online then. But you can find me all over the internet, so. Or in Fishtown.
Awesome. So Melissa, thank you so much for being on the show today. This was so awesome. For more information about Zigzag, you can find us at www.theenterprisecenter.com. This is Tiffany Spraggins-Payne, and I'm signing off.
Hello, everyone. This is Ryan Martin, the production consultant for The Grit Live. If you enjoy our programming, the most important thing you can do to support us is share each episode with your friends and family. You can also leave us a rating and a review on the podcast player of your choice to help others find us. Thank you for listening.